Hi there, this is How Big Is The Map, and today we're going to find out how big the first map is in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Yes, this game has 2 maps today.
On the YouTube channel How Big Is The Map, the unnamed narrator, a player with a Dutch accent, walks from one end to the other of huge open-world video games. In this game, Wurm, for instance, the journey takes him nearly 10 hours. He doesn't really play the game, he just walks. I'm deeply drawn to this genre of videos where players wander in complete disregard of the intended purpose of the game. Here he is in the game Space Engineers, where he walks straight ahead for 50 hours without meeting anyone or hitting the edge of the map. The videos are perhaps best described as a kind of slow TV version of the gaming video. Slow TV as in the transmissions aired on Norwegian television 15 years ago, where you could tune in and watch a train journey from Bergen to Oslo in real time for 7 hours, or like watching the slow circling of the helicopter over the Tour de France peloton for 5 hours on a lazy July afternoon. When I see streamers like How Big Is The Map breaking with the intentions of the game designers and embarking on hours-long journeys, abandoning the predetermined routes, it actually feels as if they are delving deeper into the virtual landscape, as if this is where the virtual journey truly begins. But what does moving from one place to another mean when the journey is virtual? Is it actually possible to travel in this way? Here is a travel guide for the virtual explorer.
On your mark, get set. We're riding on the internet. Cyberspace.
When the internet arrived in the 1990s, we didn't know how to describe what we were doing online. We called it surfing, a term that alludes to both adrenaline-fueled entertainment and repetition. Today it sounds old-fashioned to talk about surfing the internet, but how should we describe our movements in the virtual world? And are we moving at all? In a sense, virtual travel is of course impossible if you define travel as physical movement, because you're just sitting there staring at your screen no matter how far into the unknown you venture. But isn't traveling more than merely moving through space? To travel is to live was the motto of the writer H.C. Andersen in the 19th century. He wrote that on his formative grand tour in southern Europe, and his praise of travel probably didn't include workers walking to and from the factory or soldiers on the march. And he most definitely didn't refer to our cosmic journey around the sun, or the sun's orbit around the Milky Way, or the galaxy's drift toward Andromeda at speeds that far exceed the small ripples we little earthlings make on the planet's surface. We don't notice the movements of the Earth because everything around us moves with it. As the theory of relativity teaches us, motion is, well, relative. For H.C. Andersen, the physical movement was tied to a kind of insight, a formative experience. The world didn't just shift physically as he traveled through Europe, his understanding of it changed too. And in that sense, the virtual world might be just as valid as the physical world. We don't notice that we are traveling by measuring a distance, but by realizing that we are no longer at home, that the surrounding world feels unfamiliar. And the unfamiliar exists. In this case, the distance is not physical but mental. When we encounter the unknown, we carve new paths through our consciousness. We see something we've never seen before, and it expands our horizon. Often in conventional video games, the world at first feels deep and boundless. But as you get to know the game mechanics, you realize the world is paper-thin, like a stage set. Characters repeat the same handful of lines, the same predictable things keep occurring. As when you traverse the globe and then out of pure chance run into your old classmate at a beach bar in Bali. Small world, you say to each other. But it isn't the world that is small, it's the pathways that the tourist follows. And this is where virtual landscape benders like How Big Is The Map become interesting. Like off-piste skiers, they move away from the paths of the game designers, bringing entirely new perspectives out of the virtual geography. It's an approach that speedrunners take to the extreme. Speedrunners, the superheroes of this other world, sorcerers, magicians. Speedrunners, the practical philosophers of the virtual realm, they transcend the apparent limits of the game worlds and step through hidden portals invisible to the rest of us in their attempt to complete games as fast as possible.
Oh my god!
Like in this legendary video called Half-Life 2 Done Quicker, where speedrunners in Half-Life 2 use wooden pallets and cardboard boxes to push themselves through walls, exploiting tiny glitches to race through levels at incredible speed. The speedrunners managed to slip backstage, and here they grapple directly with the source code defining the games. In the largest open-world video games, the landscapes are procedurally generated, meaning they are not designed by humans as such, but emerge from specific mathematical formulas like endless variations on the same theme. Venturing into the Minecraft wilderness is in this sense like journeying into a fractal, a particular kind of mathematical structure that repeats itself indefinitely, like traveling to a specific point in the Mandelbrot set. By this technique, developers have succeeded in creating virtual worlds vast enough to rival the physical world, as when people say that a Minecraft world is 7 times larger than the surface of the Earth, or when you land on one of the 18 quintillion planets in No Man's Sky. That is more planets than there are grains of sand on Earth. Then you are with near statistical certainty the first human ever to set foot right there. From that perspective, traveling may in fact be possible in the virtual world in ways that no longer seem viable in the physical world. Ever since explorers reached the North Pole and the last blank spots vanished from the map, we've been left in a physical world that shrinks as infrastructure and communications networks envelop it, and even the most remote places now feel oddly nearby. Unless you are Elon Musk headed for Mars, the straight line into the unknown just doesn't exist anymore. Conversely, the digital world is expanding constantly, spawning new platforms and networks, geographies and contexts, and I believe we have yet to invent a form of travel that truly fits this ever-growing virtual landscape. Like on social media, where we currently travel via infinite doom scrolls as if our entire social reality were a giant IKEA simulacrum where the living images are nudging us around. We move with the least possible effort, and yet we grow tired. We scroll, and the new, the never-before-seen flickers past us with increasing speed. When the railways were first established in the 19th century and scaled up for mass use, it was a serious concern whether humans could mentally tolerate seeing so many landscapes and villages rush by in a flicker, whether the sheer volume and speed of the images would drive them insane. The visual cascade of nature, life and beauty framed by the square of a train window. That was before air travel and the internet. Today we consider trains a slow form of traveling. But the question of how many images we can tolerate remains. When we doom scroll, we see an endless stream of images fly by without arresting any of them. They pass like scenery through a train window, and we sit still. In this sense, social media flips the question of traveling on its head. Perhaps we only begin to move when we hit the brake, when we pause curiously and examine a place, an image, a comment, when we step through an image as if it were a portal to another dimension, when we fall down the rabbit hole, an expression that has entered everyday language in the sense of getting lost in some obscure corner of the digital world. The rabbit hole expression stems from Lewis Carroll's famous Alice Adventures in Wonderland, in which Alice tumbles through a rabbit hole into a strange, enchanted world. The expression suggests a virtual world as a network of interconnected rabbit holes. Maybe traveling in the digital world is more like Alice getting lost than a trip by a horse wagon to Rome. And maybe it's less about movement and more about attention. Like when beneath a video with the Aphex Twin song Stone in Focus set to a clip of a monkey from the film Baraka, you stumble upon a comment section filled with heartbreaking stories from people all over the world. Or when the user Chiragi123 beneath the opening sequence of Trainspotting returns to their own comment years later to say they've become an alcoholic, only to return again even later to say they are now sober thanks to the encouragement from other commenters. Or when a mysterious subreddit evolves into a collective artwork, when people gather on a Discord server to search for the hidden infrastructure of love. or when you thought you were completely alone in the game journey and then finally meet another player. They are everywhere beneath cat videos, brainrot sludge and doomsday imagery, these spontaneous expressions of life, declarations of love hurled at the anonymous other, astonishing observations and beautiful accidental encounters. The surprising travel destinations of the virtual world, they glow like living plankton in the darkness of the network. All you have to do is pause